Guys, Wayne Philmore, and today, even though this is like kind of sure to notice, but I will be debating Isaiah Sloan, and here to moderate the debate is Super Christian Tim. So, with further ado, or without further ado, Isaiah, tell everybody who you are and what you do, and then I'll give it away to Tim.
Basically, I'm known around the creationist community because I'm on Canthoven videos. That's for the most part that's what I'm known for. But I do YouTube videos of my own. But it's pretty much the same. I attack the creationist position and argue in favor of the evolutionary model.
For me, hello.
What's up?
Hello. Oh no, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, all right, got you, Tim.
I'm the Super Christian Tim. I expose the occult conspiracy of the Illuminati and attack the evolutionary position.
And you guys know me, I'm Wayne Philmore. I think evolution, atheism, scientism, and naturalism is one of the most dangerous, dumbest, retarded, and evilest religions ever in the world. With that being said, without further ado, here are the terms and conditions of the debate. I'm just reiterating it for the people who are about to watch. That's a weird word, reiterating. Anyway, um, so the terms and conditions goes like so. I can't hear myself. Does somebody have a TV on or something?
Hold on. Let me get out of there real quick. All right.
I got you. I thought somebody was like watching Family Guy or something.
Hmm.
All right.
All right, there you go. The terms and conditions of the debate goes like so. We have already stated the terms and conditions among ourselves. However, I'm just reiterating it for the people who will tune in and watch this in the near future, so everybody knows what the terms and conditions are. So, the debate or the topic of the debate is biblical creation versus evolutionism, and I will be debating the creationism side, and Isaiah will be defending the evolutionary side. Uh, we will have three portions of 10 minutes to present our case. Altogether, this debate will be 60 minutes. So this means that I'll have a chance to have a opening, middle, and ending argument or closing argument, and Isaiah will have a beginning, middle, and closing argument. If we do not have enough, what's the word, information or data or research or whatever to keep on going for 30 whole minutes, that is completely fine because I don't want to be here for a whole hour debating evolution, which is cool. So if you don't have enough information to research your data, that's awesome, that's great. If you do, well then, hey, screw it. With that being said, I'm going to flip a quarter. Oh, and last thing, for the people who are watching, and Isaiah, for you two, and Tim, for anybody else, you guys are welcome to share this debate 100% for free. You guys can sell it, give it away. It really doesn't matter whether you sell this or what. Just make sure that if you guys do decide to sell it, or if you guys do decide to give it away, or if you guys do decide to direct somebody to it, you are only to show this debate in its entirety. And if you sell it or give it away or post this debate on your channel, you are in no way, shape, or form to take out any portion of this debate. You are to show it in its entirety, unedited. And the moment that you do copy or paste or download this video and re-upload it to your channel, you agree to the legally binding verbal contract that I'm stating between you and I right now that you will not redistribute this debate and take out any portion of this debate and not show it to people in its not entirety. Is that right, Tim? Not or
Clips, not entirety. Either way, incomplete.
yeah. There you go. You guys know what I mean. But if you guys do that, I will see you. With that being said, let me flip a quarter. Heads or tails, Isaiah?
Tails.
Alright, that means I have heads. And it is tails, which means you can go first. First 10 minutes goes to Isaiah, And I don't know if you have like any pictures or anything to show anybody or anything like that, but if you do, that's great. If you don't, well, hey, go for it. And I'm going to sit myself down and be black.
And I'll
All right.
let me know when to start the timer.
All right, just
Okay.
you can start when he's ready.
You
Okay.
can start.
Okay. Here we go.
Well, first I'm gonna begin by explaining the theory of evolution. There are a few common misconceptions made by creationists towards the evolutionary theory. For example, you have the ever so eccentric, charismatic Kent Hovind, who constantly asks to see a canine evolve into a non-canine. Simply asking for this is nonsensical because you have a law called Mayer's Law of Monophyly, which is coined by Ernst Mayr. Essentially, according to this law, if you are in a clade, you will never leave that clade. So if you have an equine, for example, the descendants of that equine will always remain an equine. It doesn't matter how different it looks from an equine, it's going to be an equine. So when you are asking to see a non-canine turn into a canine turn into a non-canine, it's nonsensical. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And now to the kind, the change of kinds is how creationists would define macroevolution. That's also nonsensical. The correct definition, according to biologists, of macroevolution would be a change at or above the species level, and micro would be change below the species level. So that would be the correct term. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Um, the reason I believe the evolutionary model is much better than the creation hypothesis is that it's a model which better explains biodiversity. It better explains what we see in the fossil record, for example. I go into detail on that in my videos. It better explains genetics. For example, you have the GULOP gene, which is an astonishing example of the predictive power of the evolutionary model. And you have the CMT1A repeats, which is also just another example of evolution flexing its predictive muscles. That's all I have to say at this moment.
All right, then I'll stop it right there and reset. And Wayne, you ready?
Give me like 2 minutes. Hold on 1 minute.
Okay. Cue the elevator music.
All right, I'm back.
All right.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think I am.
Okay. Here we go. Start.
All right, so thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for the people who have just shown up, and maybe nobody's showing up. And if you guys are just now showing up and it's not live, thank you for showing up too. So you guys know that I stick to the creation module, and basically my outlook on this is evolution is dumb, dangerous, retarded, stupid, makes no sense, and is for people who want to believe in fairy tales for grown-ups. And I'll get into that a little bit later. The Bible is scientifically and historically accurate to the T. We do not believe the Bible because the Bible is true. We believe the Bible because the history of the Bible is true, and if the history of the Bible is true, then the history or the gospel according to that history is true also. Therefore, the Bible is true. With that being said, this is not a creation versus evolution debate. This debate is not about creation versus evolution or even creation versus evolutionism. This debate is strictly between creation or biblical creation, which is creation science, versus scientism. See, the people who live in the atheistic, naturalistic worldview, they don't believe in science. They believe in scientism. They believe that science is the only way that we can know any sort of truth. And so instead of using history or instead of using math or numbers, they go with science, the things that we can observe, the things that we can test, the things that we can repeat, which is pretty okay. However, science is a great way to know some truths about the universe, but there are some things that science just cannot tell us about the universe at all. With that being said, let me get on with my presentation. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and then we can get into this. All right, can you guys see it?
Yeah.
All right. So, here are some predictions that I have made for this debate. So, our prediction is kind of, sort of like a prophecy. Our prediction is, well, you guys know what a prediction is. It is a estimated guess about the future. So, I predict that time, space, and matter had a beginning, and they all came into existence simultaneously in their exact order. I predict that creation was once perfect. I predict that the supernatural came before the natural. I predict our natural senses are limited inside of this natural dimension. I predict that there are observational evidences that prove the supernatural in this natural world. I predict science cannot work without the God of the Bible. I predict that without the God of the Bible, reality cannot be made sense of. So, what in essence naturalism, evolutionism, or uh, Darwinism tries to do is they try to do something called demythologize, where they try and take the heroic or supernatural elements of a historical uh, I don't even want to say story. That's an ugly, terrible word that Christians have gotten in the habit of using. Let's talk about one of the stories of the Bible. But they try and take away the supernatural and heroic elements of a historical event so they can try and make it fit into their worldview. And if that doesn't work, if they can't demythologize it, they'll just suppress the historical event altogether. That's why you have a lot of atheists that say, instead of Jesus was just a good prophet, now they say, oh, Jesus didn't exist. That is demythologizing. So, along with demythologizing, this fits perfectly into scientism. This is how scientism works, or these are the different branches of scientism, which is the belief that all truth comes from science. Atheism, another branch of scientism. Naturalism, the belief that there is only natural things in this natural world. That only natural things exist, and uh, the natural gave birth to the natural. Then we have humanism. Humanism says that men are the only supreme beings and there is no other. And then you have uniformitarianism, which is another branch or religious cult of scientism, which says that everything that's happening the way it is today is the way it's always been. So you have atheism, naturalism, humanism, and uniformitarianism, all different branches of scientism, which all believe, in essence, that the only way you can know all truth is through science. Now, let's see if that is true. Entropy, the second law of thermodynamics. Or maybe it's the first. Everything in the universe had a beginning. Everything in the universe is running down. The question is, what wound it up? When time, space, and matter came into existence, it all had to come into existence at one time. If you had space and matter but no time, when would you put it? If you had matter and time but no space, where would you put it? Now, according to evolutionism, it says that the Big Bang, basically at one point in time, over billions of years, first there was matter, and the matter blew up inside of time and space already. So in essence, what evolutionism is saying, it's saying that I had a meme for this too, or a cartoon for this, but it's saying that uh, the creation of the world The first cause of the universe was already inside of the first cause. The Big Bang says that it created time, space, and matter, which is cosmic evolution, or cosmology is what the PhDs like to call it. It says that the Big Bang created time, space, and matter, but yet it was already inside of time, space, and matter. That is strike number one against evolutionism. Then we have genetics, which does not help our evolution at all. Evolution says that things get better over millions of years, and if that's the case, why do we still have mutated pigs, mutated fingers, and, well, mutations actually prove the Bible to be true. Mutations prove that at one time, everything used to be perfect, and now everything is getting imperfect, which is the law of entropy. So creation science, or biblical creation, is actually following along with entropy. Everything in the universe is running down. Though a lot of people who believe in evolution will like for you to believe that everything in the universe is getting better, that's not what we observe. There once was good before there was evil. We know this because the shadows prove the sunshine. In order to have shadows, you need sunshine. So you can have sunshine without shadows, but you can't have shadows without sunshine. You can have good without evil, but evil can't exist without good. Therefore, our DNA used to be perfect. How much time do I have, Tim?
2 minutes.
So, natural selection versus evolution. A lot of atheists will have you think that natural selection is evolution when that's actually not the case. See, natural selection is when different variations within the kind, or different kinds lose information so they can survive. A wolf turned into a coyote, turned into a dingo, turned into a collie, turned into a poodle is not evolution. That's de-evolution. All the evidence that we have for evolution is actually evidence for natural selection. Natural selection is a loss of information. They will have you believe that over billions of years that a fish crawled out of some water, grew some legs, then it lost its legs and went back into the water. That is not evolution. That is de-evolution. And for evolutionists to teach this to kids is just plain lying. But then again, in a worldview where you have no morals, it really wouldn't matter anyway, would it? So, how much time do I have, Tim?
1 minute, 20 seconds.
All right, so Darwin said this. The main conclusion arrived at in this work, namely, that man is descended from some lowly organized form, will, I regret to think, be highly distasteful to many. But there can hardly be a doubt that we are descended from barbarians. Man is descended from a hairy-tailed quadruple, probably Arabian in its habits. Charles Darwin said that we are animals. Is that true? When we come back. All right, I'm going to give my time over to Isaiah.
Okay, time up. Stop that. Let me know when you're ready, Isaiah.
All right,
You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just gonna go after all points made in that wonderful presentation. By the way, pretty pictures. Well, first point I'm going to address is, well, mutations. A common misconception is that mutations are always negative. You always have negative mutations. There's no such thing as a beneficial mutation. Well, for the most part, mutations are generally neutral. The average human zygote, for example, has 175 mutations, but there is such a thing as a beneficial mutation. For example, you have the LRP5V171 mutation. In this mutation, it produces a high bone density in humans. It was first recorded when a man he essentially walked away from a car accident unscathed, and to see what was wrong, see if it was something supernatural, and as we find out, it was natural after all. This man had a mutation in exon 3 of the LRP5 gene, and it produced a high bone density, essentially allowing his bones to be unbreakable. And then you mentioned entropy. Well, that's also something creationists misunderstand. Entropy does not equal disorder. That's a common misconception. If you want more on that, you can go to secondlaw.edu. I believe that's the website's name. I explain what entropy is, but you have something in an open system. A decrease in local entropy is being powered. So because we have there's a big yellow burning ball in the sky contributing energy to the Earth. It makes it an open system, allowing a decrease in local entropy to be powered on Earth, but as you'd expect, entropy to be ever increasing on the sun until eventually it dies. And we also have a radioactive decay producing energy, which is also powering a decrease in local entropy. And another point you made, you said de-evolution. That's not a thing. A dog evolving into wolves descending from dogs is not de-evolution. That is evolution, because evolution simply refers to the change in allelic frequencies in populations, and that's exactly what you get when you have dogs descending from wolves. Dogs did not descend from coyotes, by the way. That's another misconception. Now onto my point. I mentioned the CMT1A repeats earlier. Well, you mentioned genetics, so genetics actually provides powerful evidence in favor of the evolutionary theory. For example, well, no, I'm not going to get into the genetic evidence for evolution. I'm going to get to the and how genetics debunks a young Earth. But there are things called haplogroups. I'm pretty sure you know what those are. In human haplogroups, you have mitochondrial DNA, which you can test to see the substitutions between them. The most genetically distant haplogroups have 121 substitutions between their mitochondrial DNA. Now, human mitochondrial DNA has a substitution rate of 0.02 per million years. So 121 substitutions at a rate of 0.02 substitutions per million years, you should get around 6 billion to 50 million. And you have to divide 6 billion years, around 6 million years. Divide that by 16,600, which is the number of base pairs within mitochondrial DNA. You divide that, and let me do the math real quick. You get you should get 364,000. You have to divide that by 2, since we're doing 2 haplogroups, and you should get around 180,000 years, putting mitochondrial Eve, the female ancestors of all modern humans, at about 180,000 years, which is far from the creationist timeline. Now, in order for mitochondrial Eve to fit in the creationist timeline, you're going to need a substitution rate 30 to 40 times the modern rate. Now I don't think creationists will understand how absurdly fast that is. I think that would constitute a macro mutation. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, stop. Reset. Let me know when you're ready, Wayne.
All right, can you see me?
Yeah.
All right. Nice numbers. And I'm ready.
Let's go.
However, in a naturalistic, evolutionism, atheistic worldview, numbers do not exist because numbers are not material. With that being said, oh, here we go. Or no, I'm just going to skip that. All right, so I'm going to rebuttal some of your points that you made, and then I'm going to go back to doing my thing. You still didn't answer or not even answer. You didn't rebuttal the statements that I said before about the foundations of your faith, because it is a faith. You have to believe that something happened over millions of years ago, billions of years ago, that nobody observed. How it's just astonishing to me how every time I have ever debated somebody who is an evolutionist, when I say the Big Bang makes the claim that it created time, space, and matter, however, it was already inside of time and space, and if a single matter already existed inside of time and space and it blew up, it didn't create anything. nobody has the answer I'm looking for. As a matter of fact, they do exactly what you just did. They go around that and they act like I didn't say what I said. So that's so important because even though you're going into the numbers and the digits and all the other great explanations for your beliefs or for your faith, you're a great apologist for atheism. However, you can't go into all those other details instead of first fixing your foundations for your belief, which is talking about cosmology. Cosmology is so dangerous, and it's probably one of the first things that whenever I start debating somebody, I think that's one of the first things I'll go into is cosmology. I did that already, right? I did that, right, Sam?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, so with that being said, let me go and prove the supernatural real quick because naturalism or evolutionism or Darwinism or whatever um, says that the supernatural doesn't exist. And with that being said, I'm going to disprove that in about 5 seconds. And for those of you who are watching, you guys can use this analogy just sitting at home on the steps with one of your atheist buddies. So, can the supernatural be proven? Time, space, and matter is all that there is in this natural world. So, if the universe is not eternal, what was before this universe? See, assuming that there is no supernatural, it's assuming that the natural is always here. However, this natural world was always here, which means the cause for this natural world had to be supernatural. Now, there are two options that evolutionists can go. They can either say, I don't know, or they can say that that supernatural first cause was God. And you know they're not going to do that, and I'll get into why they're not going to do that in a moment. The Bible says that God made the universe. Universe is Greek for one spoken verse. God spoke the world into existence. The first cause of the universe had to be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and it had to have abide by greater laws than the laws of this dimension. It cannot be bound by space and time if it created it, which means that altogether, just the simple laws of logic debunk cosmology. The creation or the first cause of the universe cannot have been inside of time, space, and matter at all. It had to be outside of time, space, and matter, or space, time. And because the Big Bang Theory doesn't hold up to that, then we can conclude that the Big Bang is not true, which literally destroys evolution because cosmology is the foundation of macroevolution. At one time, this natural world didn't exist, therefore the first cause of the universe had to be supernatural. The supernatural had to be first before the natural. It had to be. Just logically, it had to be. And by denying that there is no supernatural, you forfeit your intellectual capability. So, rational questions we must ask. What blew up? When this Big Bang happened, what blew up? How did it get there? If it existed inside of time and space or space-time already, how then could it have caused space and time? See, what my atheist friend is doing, he's using something called science of the gaps. He's saying, because we don't know, therefore billions of years, we don't know how the Big Bang exploded, we don't know why it blew up, we don't know what exploded, we really don't know how evolution works, but what he's saying is just give us time. Just give us time and we'll find out. They're trying to demythologize a creation historical event while at the same time they, how can I even put this? They're trying to demythologize something they call a myth. However, the belief that they're standing on is a myth in the first place. You have to believe that nothing blew up and it made everything billions of years ago where nobody was there to observe, record, test, or repeat any of this. The magic formula for evolution is billions of years. That's the magic formula. They don't know where the Big Bang came from, how it got there, how it created space and time, if it was inside of space and time already, and they can't test it, observe, or demonstrate how life came from it. Maybe because it never happened. Why is gap reasoning not okay with other religions, but the religion of evolution can use gap reasoning to support their entire creation myth and call it science? So, with that being said, my presentation goes on and on and on with things that we can't observe but we know is real, and just totally blows scientism out the water. But this whole thing with evolution, as a matter of fact, let me pull up something else for you guys. How much time do I got, Tim?
You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right. Oh, let me do some more rebuttals to what you said. All right, so you said entropy does not equal disorder. So I'm guessing the scientists who found that out were wrong, which means that I'm never going to die because I didn't die yesterday. Which means that my hair is always going to be black because it wasn't black yesterday. Which means that things are not uh, going into a disorder. Things are getting orderly over billions of years, which we can't observe, which nobody even knows happened because nobody was there to observe it. He said evolution is a change of population. Uh, what do you mean by evolution? Because when an atheist or a naturalist or a Darwinist says evolution, they are implying that at one point we were animals and now we're not animals. Darwin himself said that humans are descended from hairy, four-footed, hairy-tailed animals. Either you believe you used to be an animal or you aren't. Either you're not an animal or you're made in God's image. See, the problem with atheists is this, or evolutionists or naturalists, whatever you want to call yourself, is it this or is it this? Wrong one. Do. Give me one. I mean, I'm looking for what I had. Give me a minute. Oh, it wasn't a me too. Listen to me, I was telling you guys about. It created time. Yeah, it was inside of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Big Bang. Let me see. Oh, here we go. So, this is the only reason why people believe in evolution. I suppose the reason why we looked at the origin of species was that the idea of God interfered with our sexual mores. John Huxley. This guy said, evolution is unproved and unprovable. We believe it only because the only alternative is special creation, and that is unthinkable. See, the only reason why Isaiah, who is a teenager, believes in evolution is, well, because he wants to do what he wants to do. And most teenagers believe in evolution because, well, they just want to go out, have sex, drink, smoke weed, do crack cocaine, and have a good time. I guarantee you, the only reason why Isaiah here believes in evolution is so he can go home, jerk off, watch porn, masturbate, and be a heathen. That is the only reason why people believe in evolution, so they can live how they want to live. The Bible says this. It says, how much time do I have, Tim?
You have 30 seconds.
Well, quickly, the Bible says that people suppress the truth in unrighteousness so they can do what they want to do. Isaiah is suppressing the truth so he can go and do all the evils and all the sexual, immoral, and drugs and all that stuff that he wants to do. That's pretty much it. With that being said, I give the floor over to Isaiah.
Yeah. Now I gotta. Okay, sorry, reset. All right, let me know when you're ready, Isaiah.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, well, I apologize for missing your point on cosmology. That was honestly a mind slip on my part. Well, you seem to have a straw man understanding of the Big Bang. Now, the name Big Bang wasn't the original name given to it. That was the name given to it by of Fred Hoyle, who actually had an alternate theory called, I believe it was called the steady state model, or I believe that was it. But the Big Bang is actually an expansion, not an explosion. And the Big Bang, I mean, this quote is taken from a friend of mine named Redline. The Big Bang is still banging. The universe is still expanding. You said time, space, and matter need to exist at the same time. No, you have what's called a vacuum in which there is time and space, but no matter. Were you aware of that? Further on your other point, you said entropy does not equal disorder. I made that point quite clear. The reason you age is not because of entropy. It's because of your telomeres. There's an enzyme called telomerase. Essentially, as you get older, your telomeres shorten. Now, in lobsters, for example, this is their telomeres. I believe they don't shorten. They, instead of aging like you and I do and die, they get bigger and don't die. They just don't die unless killed. Now, now, what caused the Big Bang? No, I don't have an answer for that. I don't think. You and I may both die before an answer is given, but that would not negate the cosmic microwave background radiation with an evenness to about 1 part in 100,000, which is a prediction made by the Big Bang model, with a black body spectrum with a temperature of 2.73 Kelvin, which is another prediction, or the expansion of the universe, which is another prediction made by the Big Bang model. Now, on to earlier, you were trying to give your evidence for you said all the evidence for evolution is just natural selection. Natural selection is one of the mechanisms in which evolution occurs. It prevents those harmful mutations from becoming fixed in the population. Now, further on to the evidence of evolution, because I haven't got to that point yet. Now, there's a gene called GULOP, or L-guanolactone oxidase, we'll just call it GULOP. This gene, in all haplorhini primates, you have humans, monkeys, tarsiers, and apes, if you can separate those. In them, the gene is missing exon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The promoter region is gone, and there's a premature stop codon on exon 4. Yeah, 4. Wait, no, that's the guinea pigs. There's a premature stop codon on exon 10. Now, how would the creation model explain this? Now, what are the chances of the same exons of the same gene being deleted, the same promoter region of the same gene being deleted, and a premature stop codon ending up on the same exon independently? The most rational explanation of this is that this mutation, which broke this gene, occurred in the common ancestor of all the haplorhini primates. We'll just call them dry-nosed primates. It occurred in their ancestor and was passed on to each and every one of them, which is why they have this exact same mutation. Now, the guinea pig also has a broken GULOP gene, but you can know its GULOP broke independently because the guinea pig is missing exon 1, 5, and part of 6, and has a premature stop codon on exon 4. Now, this is just another example of evolution basically flexing its predictive muscles. Now onto the more genetics. There's a region on human chromosome 17 called CMT1A repeats. On this, you have your proximal repeat, and you have your distal repeat, and you have the PMP22 gene in between the proximal and the distal. Now, the distal repeat is exon 6 of the COX10 gene. The proximal repeat is a copy of the distal. It has no function. Now the proximal repeat, sometimes during reproduction, the proximal repeat lines up with the distal repeat, and that gives the offspring problems, such as Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. It's a PMP22 is a dosage gene. So if the proximal lines up with the distal, you either have one more or one less of this PMP22 gene. Now the proximal repeat is found on one other primate. Now if evolution is true, it should be the chimp. And that's exactly who it is. Now further on your point, you made man is an animal. Man is a multicellular eukaryote which ingests organic matter. That is an animal by definition. Now our ancestors were obviously hairy because we have what's called the HHAA gene, which is it's a pseudogene in us. It doesn't function. But when it does function, you end up with humans who have hair covering everything, including their face. It's everywhere. Now that's just one way we can tell our ancestors were hairy, like you see in the chimpanzees, orangutans, etc. Now this is also what we would expect if evolution was true, and since it is, that's what we find. Now further on I seen that little insult you threw in at the end. You called me a teenager. You know what? I'm just gonna ignore that. Whatever. I'm done.
Oh, okay. So, all right, Wayne, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, go.
All right. So, in the beginning, you said, yeah, you talked about the Big Bang, etc., 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 and you talked about how nobody has an answer about where the Big Bang came from or whatever. And with that being said, that's my point. Nobody has an explanation about. Let me take the gum out my mouth. That's so unprofessional. Here we go. That's my point. That's the science of the gaps I was talking about. Because I don't know, therefore I do know. I don't know where the Big Bang came from, but I know it blew up. I know where. Nobody has ever observed this. Nobody has seen it. And furthermore, this cosmic microwave heat that you guys are finding, that's supposed evidence for the Big Bang. Let me show you guys this. Okay. This is the remnant heat from the Big Bang that PhDs who specialize in cosmology are referring gullible high school students to. And they're saying this is the remnant heat from the Big Bang. In Genesis 1:3, is this right, Tim? God said, let there be light, right? Genesis 1:3, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned. Don't you know that light also produces heat? Could it be possible that this remnant heat from the supposed Big Bang is not the remnant heat from the Big Bang, but it's the remnant heat from the light that God spoke into existence from Genesis 1:3? Could it be that man is deterring God's credit for light to a natural cause? All the more because people just want to do what they want to do. Also, let me show you guys this one. I keep hearing this millions of years ago stuff, billions of years of stuff. Millions of years is the secret formula for evolution. And millions of years is the same thing as saying once upon a time. That's it. When somebody says millions of years ago, what they really mean is once upon a time. Nobody was there to see it. Nobody was there to observe it, record it, test it, repeat it. Millions of years ago is gone. And nobody has ever seen millions of years. Nobody was there millions of years ago. People have only been around for a good 4,000 years. With that being said, this is what the Bible says. The Bible says, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man and birds and four-footed animals and creeping things. In essence, it's saying that people who believe in evolution worship animals. They're animal worshippers. We were not animals. We were not at one point in time these hairy four-footed creatures that magically over millions of years evolved. Once you destroy millions of years, you destroy evolution. And because nobody has ever observed millions of years, how would they know unless somebody's seen this? How did these people know this happened? How did and for that fact you said that you know for a fact that we're related to a monkey because we're hairy and our ancestors had to be hairy. Therefore, because monkeys are hairy, monkeys are our ancestors. Holy crap! You did not say that. Don't you know koala bears have hair all over their bodies too? Are we all related to koalas? Come on. Evolution is animal worship. It is worshiping four-footed creatures and birds and beasts because in the end, people who believe in evolution, who are naturalistic, Darwin-loving atheists, the only reason they believe in evolution is because they want to go out and live how they want to live and do what they want to do. And yes, Isaiah, you are a typical teenager who is rebellious against God because they want to go out, party, drink, smoke, jerk off, watch porn, and do all the evil, sinful stuff that people do. That's the only reason why you believe in evolution. Because you want to sin. It's not a science problem. It is a sin problem. The reason why an atheist cannot find God is the same reason why a thief cannot find a policeman. Because they are guilty. With that being said, um, is there anything else I need to talk about? I think that would be about it. Um, oh, my last point for this debate. Isaiah is an atheist. He's a naturalist. However, every time he has to use unobservable science like millions of years, or even when he uses math for numbers, which he can't account for in an atheistic worldview, he has to steal from the worldview, or he has to borrow from the worldview that he is debating. Like, for example, in a naturalistic worldview, numbers don't exist. In a naturalistic worldview, morals don't exist. In a naturalistic worldview, uh, because nobody has ever seen millions of years can't exist. However, the Christian worldview is based off of not only observation evidences, but the Bible says that faith is the evidence of the things that we have not seen. Things that are not observable, things that are not repeatable, things that are not testable. You can't observe millions of years, you still believe it. Because it's not that you don't believe in the God of the Bible, or it's not that you don't believe in Christianity. It's just that you don't like God. And because you don't like God, you fight against him. So, with that being said, is there anything else? Yeah, I'm gonna talk about this. How much time do I have, Tim?
You have 3 minutes.
All right. So, what is the truth? What is the truth? What is the truth? This is the truth. The truth is that evolution teaches that first there was death and then there was millions of years. And if that's the case, if death came before sin, before Adam sinned, then that means there was heart, there was bloodshed, there was disease, there was suffering. That means that through suffering, disease, and bloodshed, animals slowly evolved into what we are today through pain and suffering and sorrow, which means that death was always here. However, from the creation worldview, creation teaches that at one time this world was perfect, which is what entropy teaches. Because there is disorder today, we can assume that there was not always disorder. That shadows prove the sunshine. Because there is evil, because there is sickness, because there is disease, because there is bloodshed. We know that at one time there was none. So, at one time, everything was perfect, but man sinned. Man sinned against God for something called what's the word I'm looking for? Gnosis. There you go. Man sinned against God for something called gnosis. Now, gnosis means science. So when God told Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of knowledge or gnosis, in essence, God was telling Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of science. See, every time we have more knowledge, we think we don't need God. The less knowledge we do have, the more we depend on God. So in essence, what Isaiah is doing is exactly what a sinner should do. Sinners are supposed to fight against God. Sinners are supposed to use their gnosis or their science to try and make up crafty arguments against their creator. Sinners are supposed to fight against their creator. Isaiah is doing exactly what a sinner is supposed to do. A sinner is supposed to hate God because Adam passed on his sin to Isaiah and me. Also, by us getting older, by us getting sicker, by us having diseases, by us dying, by us getting smaller, weaker, and dumber, it's actually proving natural selection, which proves entropy, which proves the Bible to be true. The truth is that me and Isaiah, and even Tim, we've all sinned. We've broken God's commandments. We've lied. We've cheated. We've stolen. We've done things we weren't supposed to do. Our feet has taken us places that uh, aren't supposed to take us. We've did things and said things that we shouldn't have done and said, and we're going to have to be held accountable for those things when we die. And whether an atheist believes it or not, they are going to have to stand before the creator of the universe because the creator of the universe does not believe in atheists. Which is also another reason why you shouldn't be an atheist. Atheists have to rely off of their own substances, and they'll say, I believe A because of B, and B because of C, and B because of E. And then when they get down to Z, they have to go back to A, which is circular reasoning. With that being said, we're going to have to stand before God and give an account for every time we lied, every time we cheated, every time we stolen. The Bible says that even if you lusted after a woman, that you've committed sexual immorality with her in your heart. And because Isaiah doesn't like those rules or those laws, he suppresses the truth about God so he can go and live how he wants to live. Notice how he isn't bringing up anything about his sin. He's going around it because Isaiah knows he has a sin problem. Isaiah knows that every time he goes and he does something he's not supposed to do, instead of manning up and asking for forgiveness, he just says that sin doesn't exist. That's the only reason why people don't believe in God and they believe in supposed evolution, which Isaiah said before. He said that natural selection, or no, I'm sorry, he said that entropy or something like that doesn't happen. I should have wrote that down. But long story short, 2,000 years ago, because God wanted to pay your fine, because God didn't want you to go to hell, because God knew that when you stood before him on Judgment Day, you had to pay the rent. God sent his son Jesus Christ to live a perfect life on all of our behalves. Every time he lied, he didn't lie. Every time he stole, he didn't steal. Every time he did something evil and horrible and sinful, he never done it, not once. And he gave his life as a sacrifice for you. 3 days later, he rose from the dead, conquered death, and now he's at the right hand of God. And all you have to do to be made right with God is ask for forgiveness.
Yep.
What's so hard about that? What's so hard about an atheist or an evolutionist or a naturalist or a Darwinist saying, God, I am sorry, I am wrong? It's so hard because a lot of these people are filled with pride. And
That's
until,
time.
all right, cool.
Here we go.
Go.
I wish you could see the big smile on my face right now. There's a few misconceptions you have about me. I'm not going to get into the science right now. There are a few misconceptions I would like to address about me. Okay, well, number one, I am not an atheist because I hate God. I don't believe in him. Okay? It would you'd be just as have just as much luck accusing me of hating Cthulhu. I don't believe in Cthulhu. Number two, I don't believe in I'm not an atheist because I accept evolution. Those two are separate. Okay? You look at Professor Ken Miller. He's a Roman Catholic and he accepts evolution. He was in the Kitzmiller v. Dover trial. Another misconception that you have about me, that I love to sin. I don't believe sin is real. What I do in my private life is my private life. If I want to watch porn, I'm going to watch porn. I'm not going to have guilt about it afterwards. Now on to the science. You keep conflating entropy with disorder. Entropy. I didn't say entropy doesn't exist. I didn't say that at all. Entropy has to do with energy, not disorder. They're separate. It's a common misconception. Now, I really didn't get. You really didn't address the GULOP gene, which is an example of evolution flexing its predictive muscles, or the CMT1A repeats. I wanted to hear your take on that. But we did come from monkeys. In fact, we're still monkeys. You may take offense to that, but you're still a monkey. Tim's a monkey too. One thing we would expect.
Am I a monkey because I'm black? No, I'm playing with you. You're black too.
No. Now I've told that to other black people, and they took as much offense to it. No problem. No, we are monkeys. We still are, because a monkey cannot have non-monkey descendants, which is why I favor getting rid of paraphyletic taxons altogether, because something doesn't grow out of it will evolve out of its ancestry. Doesn't make sense. So, if humans truly did evolve from monkeys, we would expect that there should be some sort of monkey-like ape that existed before. And that's exactly what we find in Proconsul. The encephalization quotient is closer to a monkey. The metacarpals are curved like a monkey. The fingers are ape-like. The size is ape-like. It's closer to size to a gorilla. What is it? The brachial index is 90. I believe it's 96, which is closer to a chimp. And it has no tail like a monkey. No, not a monkey. Like an ape. Whereas humans are, which is just another example of evolution. Flexing its predictive muscles. Humans are a specific set of monkeys called Cercosipithidae, or Old World monkeys. Now people take offense in being called monkeys, but it's not. There's a quote: "Man is the only thing which refuses to accept what he is. Man is a monkey." Now on to my other point. Well, I think I've addressed everything so far. Now, it's animal worship. I don't worship animals. For the simple fact that I am an animal. As I mentioned, I'm a multicellular eukaryote which ingests organic matter, which by definition is an animal, just like sponges, birds, and every other animal. It's not something that it's not something that's going to cause me to be immoral or commit sin. I don't jack off because I'm an animal. I engage in pleasure because I like pleasure. Now you seem to have this misconception that I hate God because I love sin. Now, both of which I don't believe in. Now, another example. Now, you also brought up monkeys are furry, and koalas are furry. Are we related to koalas? Well, koalas are mammalia, so we are related to them because we're mammals, just like them. Now I mentioned we aren't really furry. We can have fur if a gene called HHAA becomes functional. In us, it's not functional, which is one of the reasons we don't have fur. Now, you mentioned how we can't observe millions of years. Oh, of course we can. The cosmic microwave background radiation is testament to that. And you have radiometric dating. Now, you can falsify radiometric dating if you provide a mechanism to speed up radioactive decay enough to indicate a young Earth. But there's a problem. Radioactive decay produces heat. Friction occurs even at the molecular level. So if you speed up radioactive decay, you're speeding up the heat. And if you speed up the heat fast enough to indicate a young Earth, you're going to melt the Earth, because radioactive decay produces a lot of heat. It's responsible for 50% of the for the Earth's heat. Okay, so it forms a problem for the young Earth model. Now, another problem with the young Earth model is it ignores mitochondrial DNA. Now, there's an extinct hominid called Denisovan. Now, Denisovan, humans shared a common ancestor with Denisovan because Denisovans contributed towards our DNA. We interbred with him. Human and Denisovan DNA, mitochondrial DNA, only differs by 385 base. Well, this is a 385 substitution difference. Now, we're doing the same calculations as before. 385 at a rate of 0.02 substitutions per million years. Divide the answer of that up by 50 by 16,600 base pairs. That's the number of base pairs within mitochondrial DNA. You divide that up, and you should get around 1 million years. Divide that up, and you should get around 500,000. Well, no, you have to divide that by 2, since you're doing humans and modern humans and Denisovans, and you should get around 570,000 years. Well, 570,000 years, which means the female ancestor of modern humans and Denisovans, according to your model, would have had to live approximately 564,000 years before there was an Earth, or before there was a universe. Where did she live if the DNA puts her at 564,000 years before there was a universe? I'm done.
Oh, okay. Alright, let me know when you're ready, Wayne.
I think that's it for the debate. We went back like 3 times, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. Alright, cool. Alright. Well, with that being said, we got to reschedule this and have another one of these. It was nice sparring with you. And,
Alright, thank you.
Well,
Bye.
Alright, gotcha.
Have a